The Bears make a big splash by trading for Joe Thuney. We talk about that next on the Unbearable Sports Podcast.
I'm going to take the North and never give it back.
So that's a good pick. You get the corner. I got to go bold, right? I got to go bold for this.
Yeah, she's got some nice long
Welcome back to the Unbearable Sports Podcast. I'm your host, Brad. What is going on? Make sure to like and subscribe if you're out there on YouTube, and also rate the show 5 stars everywhere that you get your podcast. Big news today. Bears end up trading for Joe Thuney. Let me know down below. Do you grade this an A? What is your grade that you would give this trade? Because to me, I was pumped. Now, we will talk about Joe Thuney first, but the first piece that I want to break down is just some of the new signings that we had, also some of the people that are now on the market, and then we will break down the trade, how this affects the draft strategy, or if it even affects the draft strategy. So let's go right into it. I want to just talk about the Bears' first new signings. We just re-signed Bill Murray and also Daniel Hardy. So nothing too crazy. We just ended up bringing them back. So hopefully Bill Murray can be healthy at the guard position again. So wanted to get those out of the way. But then next, I want to just talk about some of the new people out on the market just to keep an eye out for. Because Tyler Lockett just got released. Same thing with Christian Kirk. Tyler Lockett probably going to reunite with Pete Carroll out inside of Las Vegas. So that's kind of my expectation. But look for Christian Kirk, someone who is only 28 years old, a slot receiver. You know that the offense that Ben Johnson likes to run heavily leverages that slot receiver. Christian Kirk, being more of a vet, might be slightly cheaper than expected just because of a couple down years for the Jags. I never thought that he was a number one guy, but him being potentially a third option, not that bad. Yet again, I wouldn't be signing somebody immediately quite yet at that wide receiver position. We still have a lot to be going through, but just wanted to call him out. And last but not least, someone who's on the market, Jonathan Allen. Someone that we've talked about for multiple years now, just because of his contract situation, and he could be either traded or released. If he ends up getting released, it's reported that he's going to get a lot of interest, but I think from the Bears, it would be interesting from the Bears' perspective. I like him. I think he's very good, and that defensive tackle spot, do we need someone to Jonathan Allen's pedigree? Maybe not, just because with Jervon and then also with Andrew Billings, but I really wouldn't mind it having another stud out there in the middle of the defense, since you do go through 4 people consistently across that line. Also, I feel like you could maybe get a good defensive end with your first or second round pick, still sign someone. So I wanted to just throw that out there as someone to just keep an eye out for. But now let's get into the big news, because this is the thing that as soon as I saw this, I'm like, holy cow. Like, I don't know who else felt this way, but Joe Thuney coming over to the Chicago Bears, him being traded for a next year 4th round pick. I think that this is phenomenal. I think that this is great. This is what you do when you have the cap space, right? We see all these other trades for Deebo Samuel and players like that where we go, like Amari Cooper. Why can people just kind of trade people and get them for next to nothing? This to me is one of those deals, because usually people are trading them away because of their cap and also just because of their age. So when you look at Joe Thuney, when you look at him overall, he's 32 years old. He's going to be 33 during the season. So that's not ideal, obviously, a little bit up there when it comes to age. But quite frankly, Joe is one of the best guards in the league, period. PFF grade, he was the 12th highest graded guard, but also you have to factor in he played over 200 snaps at left tackle, because the Chiefs were so bad, he ends up playing left tackle. But we can throw the grades out. We can throw away all the accolades. To me, the number one thing that Joe Thuney brings to this Bears offense is leadership. This is a team that is desperate for leaders, and I've heard many people talk about just how an incredible leader he is. Jason McCourty talked about it, just one of the smartest players that he's played with. This is someone who's smart. This is someone who's a leader. People say too, from the Kansas City Chiefs, this was the leader of the offensive line room. We finally have someone that can lead this O-line room. And I think that is what is so crucial. And from us Bears fans outside looking in, we don't know what's going on in the locker room, right? We don't know how it is out there to have someone, a Super Bowl, multiple Super Bowl champion, someone who's made the Super Bowl 6 out of his 9 years in the NFL, someone who knows what it takes to get there, and someone who has played with the greats. He was a New England Patriot, then he was a Kansas City Chief, and hey, now he's a Chicago Bear. He knows what it takes to be great. And I think that, to me, is one of the biggest benefits that you get with getting someone like this. Now, when you look at your offensive line, you have Braxton Jones at left tackle, you have Darnell Wright at the right tackle, and then you have Thuney most likely going to stay at that left guard spot. And we actually talked about this yesterday. Jonah Jackson played a lot of right guard in college before shifting over to the left side at Ohio State. I don't hear a lot of people talking about that, but that's what he did at his time in college. So he was originally a right guard, so you kind of expect him to then shift over. My expectation is Ben Johnson and Ryan Poles already kind of knew that something was working out with Joe Thuney, so I feel like I don't have any concerns there. My only concern would be if they wanted Jonah Jackson to be center, but really the whole center experience was more so just, hey, Steve Avila went down, they needed someone at center, and that's why Jonah Jackson filled in. Leave him out of the center conversation. He should be your right guard, Thuney your left. And quite frankly, there you go. That is a very, very formidable front. And also another piece about Joe Thuney's deal, $16 million for the cap number, which is not bad. And also if the Bears wanted to re-sign him to a 2-year deal, they could. And the projection is around $20.5 million. Not that bad if they do it over 2 separate years. So $41 million deal overall if they want to re-sign him. Personally, I think that they're just going to kind of keep him this year, see how things go. Should be all great, but this is just phenomenal home run signing. When you look at his pass blocking grades, over 80 for the last 4 consecutive seasons, almost 7 consecutive seasons of a passing grade over 80. Just absolutely crazy. Just 1 year at 73. This guy has been one of the best guards. I quite frankly think that he's better. This might be a bold take. I think he's better than Trey Smith. Now, Smith, younger, right? Like, Smith was still younger. He's going to command more dollars. That's why they got rid of Thuney. And I think that this was just a win-win across the board for the Chiefs to, hey, we want Trey Smith. We want to be younger at the position. And the Bears end up getting just an incredible guard. This is great. This is great. Like, I absolutely love this trade, as you can probably tell. But now, let's talk a little bit about how this affects the draft and, quite frankly, free agency. Because as soon as this happened, I know we talked about this yesterday, where I know a couple of us in the chat, we were saying, what are the Bears going to do? And some of us, myself included, I still feel like the Bears want Genty. Not saying Brad here wants Genty. I'm saying that the Bears and Ben Johnson has talked about how important the running back position is to him and his offense. I think what they're doing is they're trying to just fill in every position possible, and then don't be surprised. I think that they're going to draft a running back in the first 3 picks that they have. It could be the running back out of North Carolina. It could be Ashton Genty. It could be one of the running backs out of Ohio State. The running back position is important to Ben. And I think that's what they're going to try and address. And they want to try and fix the offensive line right now. The question is just when they want to address that. So I think when you go into the draft, I see some people saying, you can just blow up everything, like, hey, we don't need a guard anymore. No, I still would like a guard. I think where this at least changes, because you have such good guards, I feel the only thing that this just alters is that first pick, that number 10 pick. Because are you really willing to draft someone that you believe is a guard at that number 10 pick? If they feel that Will Campbell is a guard, would they actually pull the trigger on that? I think that's a valid question for what they want to do. Yes, you have Thuney that's here on a 1-year deal, and you have Jonah Jackson here on 2 years, but you're taking away a top 10 pick. I think if with that number 10 pick, I wouldn't use it on a guard. I would purely be looking at it as, can I get a tackle? Someone that can compete and potentially and hopefully take the job and be better than a Braxton Jones. That's what my goal is if I'm using that number 10 pick. Otherwise, like I said, I could see them potentially taking Ashton Genty, and in that second round too, look for someone like a Connerly out of Oregon, as we talked about yesterday. Look for him to be someone that the Bears target because very good tackle, or kind of like this little project tackle that's going to be falling a little bit, but has some decent production with the Ducks. So let me know, what do you think down below? Now all of our fingers are crossed about getting Dahlman now as the true center. We'll just have to look for that. But right now, Bears have $50 million left in cap space. So we'll be breaking down a lot of the free agents for who the Bears should be trying to sign the next upcoming days. So you're going to want to make sure to like and subscribe out there so you do not miss that as we break down the best free agents that are still available. Because quite frankly, it might just be Dahlman or bust, because there's rumors out there Kelly might actually want to retire. So we'll see what ultimately ends up happening. But like I said, let me know what you think down below. Like, subscribe, and with that, Unbearable Sports Podcast, we are out.
Yeah, she's got some nice long hair and